Welcome to Tingling Goosebumps. The following are true stories told by people who truly believe happened to them. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content. Without wasting any more time, let's get started.
I'll never forget the night I agreed to babysit for the Johnsons. I was just 17, looking for some extra cash, and their offer seemed too good to pass up. The Johnsons lived in an old, sprawling house at the edge of town, and as I arrived, a chill ran down my spine. It wasn't just the looming Victorian structure, it was something in the air, something unsettling. The parents gave me a quick rundown of their two children, Emily and Ben, who seemed like perfectly normal kids. They assured me that they'd be back by midnight, and with a grateful nod, they left. As soon as the front door closed behind them, things took a strange turn. The kids were initially sweet, but as the evening wore on, they began to act peculiar. They whispered to each other in hushed tones, always just out of earshot. It was as though they were sharing a secret, and I couldn't help but feel like an outsider. Bedtime came, and I ushered them to their rooms. Emily's was adorned with porcelain dolls that stared with lifeless eyes. Ben's room was filled with action figures, all facing the wall. The eerie atmosphere only intensified, and I started to feel uneasy. Returning to the living room, I tried to calm my nerves by watching TV, but strange noises began to seep through the walls. Soft whispers and creaking floorboards echoed throughout the house. It was unnerving, and the more I tried to dismiss it, the more it consumed my thoughts. An hour passed, and I decided to check on the kids. Emily's door was closed, but when I knocked and asked if everything was okay, her reply sent shivers down my spine. "We're fine, but please don't come in." My heart raced, and I pushed the door open. What I saw in the dimly lit room made my blood run cold. The children sat on the floor, their backs turned to me. On the wall in front of them, a shadowy figure moved, casting sinister shapes on the wallpaper. They were chanting something in an unfamiliar language. Panic surged through me, and I rushed to get them out of the room. But when I turned them around, their eyes were pure black, and their smiles were grotesque. In a moment of terror, I fled the room and dialed 911. When the police arrived, the kids were both in their beds as if nothing happened. They even went as far as to say I was crazy and mean to them all night. This didn't make any sense, but it's safe to say I never went back there again. One fateful evening, I found myself babysitting for the Rodriguez family in their cozy suburban home. The sun had set, casting a twilight glow over the quiet neighborhood. As the parents hurriedly left for their dinner reservation, they assured me their two children, Mia and Lucas, were well behaved and would be asleep by the time they returned. As soon as the front door clicked shut, an unusual hush fell over the house. Mia and Lucas were indeed quiet, but there was something eerie in their stillness. I started to prepare dinner, all the while feeling like an intruder in their eerie silence. After dinner, I followed the parents' bedtime routine, leading the children upstairs. Mia's room was adorned with fairy lights, casting a warm, dreamy atmosphere. I tucked her in, read a bedtime story, and kissed her goodnight. But as I turned to leave, her whisper sent shivers down my spine. "Stay with me," she said, her eyes wide with fear. I hesitated but decided to oblige. I sat in a chair beside her bed, trying to soothe her. But as the minutes ticked by, the room grew colder, and her fear deepened. She began muttering about shadows and strange figures lurking in the corners. Worried, I offered to check on Lucas, who slept down the hall. When I entered his room, my heart skipped a beat. The walls were adorned with crude, childlike drawings of sinister, faceless figures and eerie symbols. Lucas lay in his bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. In a hushed voice, he said, "They're watching." My panic intensified. I rushed back to Mia's room, only to find her cowering beneath her blanket, muttering about the same figures. The room had grown even colder, and I could feel a presence that made my skin crawl. I called the parents, desperately explaining the unsettling turn of events. They rushed home, finding their children in a state of sheer terror. But as they tried to comfort them, I noticed a strange glow emanating from the children's eyes, a surreal, otherworldly light. The parents huddled their children close, and a chilling calm descended upon the room. The eerie glow faded from the children's eyes, and they seemed perfectly fine. The parents thanked me for my concern and paid me for my time. As I left their house that night, I couldn't shake the feeling that something unnatural had taken place. The strange ending to that babysitting job left me with an unsettling sense of unease, and I often wondered if the Rodriguez children were harboring a secret that defied explanation.